Hey everybody, welcome to MiniPaintingDM, where I take you through the whole process of preparing for a D&D campaign, from looking at the adventure module, to selecting the minis that you want to provide to your party, to printing them, to cleaning them up, and painting them for your Dungeons & Dragons game. Today I'm going to be cleaning up these two prints. I printed one of these crocodiles and several of these toads for upcoming encounters in Ghosts of Saltmarsh. It's going to be a pretty short stream today because there's not many models, and the cleanup should be pretty light on these guys. But there will be some important things that I want to talk about in terms of the toad, because I did go with the hollow version. This is such a bulky, sort of spherical model that printing it hollow versus not would significantly change the cost of printing. So I went ahead with the hollow, and there's some things to consider when printing models hollow. So I just want to talk about that on today's stream while we jump into it. Alright, let's switch over to the paint table, or cleanup table. Alright, so we have toads over here. Half of them I have mirrored. So 3 are facing sort of to the left and 3 are facing to the right. I mirrored the bases as well, so that way the sort of foot placement on the base matched up. I've already sort of pre-fit, and these go with these and these go with these. And then we have our croc here. Let's get started with the croc because I think it's going to be pretty fast. He printed really nice and clean. Now there is a lot of little support nubs. Get out of here. There's a lot of little support nubs here on the base of the mini. I'm going to sort of test fit this and see. Again, it's all the way at the bottom of the mini. I think I want to clean up a little bits, like here at the tail, and maybe on the edge of the belly where you could sort of see. The stuff that's all the way at the bottom, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time cleaning some of this up. I might get like a few of the big outliers just to make sure it doesn't have issues with connecting to the base, but I'm not gonna waste a whole lot of time on this guy. I do want to clean up the tail. Some of those supports were obvious from a side profile, and I'm just using my Citadel sort of cleaning tool here. It's really great against round surfaces like this, and sort of like get it in the midline there. But this is the older version of this tool. I know there's a newer one that they released a couple of years ago, or about a year ago, but this is the older one. But functionally it's still the same. I don't think they made a whole lot of changes to it, other than changes to the handle. This one is all metal. I think the newer handle is sort of a plasticky or rubbery handle. I kind of like the feeling of this older metal one. Feels more substantial in your hand and heavy, which is kind of nice when you're doing this kind of work, in my opinion. But there's probably something to be said about the other one being more comfortable for certain situations and certain hand sizes, so your mileage may vary. I do have one last print on the printer. There's a problem with the actual print file. It's funny, it succeeded on the first 2/3 of the model, on the top 1/3 of the model, or the bottom half and the top 1/3, but there's like a good section of it that's just missing. I'm pretty sure that was a problem with the slicing. I was screwing around in a game at the time. I think I alt-tabbed in mid-slice. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore, like try to play games while slicing. Also not alt-tabbing away from the slicing software mid-slice. I think essentially that the renderer got interrupted and it just sort of skipped over a whole section in the slicing file. Which kind of sucks because it's a nice big print. I'll show that off in a future stream. It is printing successfully this time, it looks like. It screwed up somewhere around the top area of the base. It has a very large base. But it looks like it's printing just fine today. Really looking forward to it. It's a really big model. Something I don't really have to print, but you know, I've actually run across this model being used in campaigns before, and I've just sort of done it theater of the mind. But I'm tired of that. I want it on the table. Okay, I think that's plenty cleaned up. Make sure we don't have any dust here on the base. Give the base a quick once over. That is not what I wanted. If you're being real paranoid about your health, you should probably wear a mask while scraping off resin like this. But, you know, I'm not that paranoid. Alright, there we go. Always dry fit your models. Thank yourself later. I think that's good. I don't think I need to leave him off his base for painting. So we'll just grab our thick super glue here. Again, check dry fit. Looks like he's got some nice big, there's a nice little indentation there where his belly is. Foot. There and foot here. Again, Loot Studios does a great job of putting little indentations on the base where feet will sit and other parts of the model. I should probably put a little bit here. There's tail touches. Go. Really helps with the adhesion when they have these little like indentations. I love how this model printed. I didn't have any breakages on the teeth or on the fingers. Of course, crocodiles have little stubby fingers. All of the like tail spikes and all the spikes along its back all printed successfully. Honestly, it was a perfect print. Super happy with it. And I have printed crocodiles before. I printed one a long time ago that was like a free model. I think it was by Miguel. who has done a whole bunch of D&D models for free out on Thingiverse. But this sculpt by Loot Studios was just so good, I couldn't not print it. It's from the Buried Tombs. I think I showed it at the beginning of the stream, the Buried Tombs release. Alright, so, moving on to the frogs. I'm going to give a quick once over here on the bases first. And then we'll talk about these frogs, something to look out for if you print them yourself, and just some general words of wisdom about printing hollow models. Because printing hollow models comes with lots of reward in terms of saving you resin, but also lots of risks. And that risk is the chance that if you don't clean it thoroughly, of having uncured resin still inside of the model. With other 3D printing like SLA, there's other risks associated with printing, I guess different risks with printing hollow models. Specifically with SLA, the trick of printing hollow models is you need supports on the inside. Because once you get to the top of the model, then you need to build material off of material, and you run the risk of having failures if you don't have supports on the inside. But generally speaking, with resin printing, you actually don't want supports on the inside. Very bad, very bad. Because again, those supports will go uncured, and there's just more surface area on the inside for uncured resin to stick to. And also makes it harder to clean the inside when you've got all these supports gunking up that hollow space. So, no supports when resin printing on the inside. Your slicing software should not do that by default if you're doing the hollowing yourself. And we can talk about hollowing tips and tricks sometime. If my audience is curious about it, I can sort of demonstrate that with an unhollowed model and then show you how I would go about the process of hollowing it in Lychee. It's pretty darn easy. But if you're selecting a model that's already pre-supported hollow, like Loot Studios provides, they provide all of their models solid, unsupported, and supported, like sometimes 4 different versions. Hollow unsupported, solid unsupported, supported hollow, and supported, not hollow. Full, whatever. So, okay, base is done. I was busy jib-jabbing, wasting time. So let's talk about hollowing. So if you notice, I have these frogs sitting here on my shop cloths that I use for printing. And as I pick up this frog, you'll notice there's a little bit of discoloration here. This discoloration is, even though I printed this yesterday, it's still slowly oozing out a little bit of resin. I've gone through several rounds with multiple of these frogs. And you have to be very careful. I really should be doing this with gloves, but I'm being very careful. I've done several rounds of letting them sit, letting the resin ooze out. It's pretty gross. and it's kind of a pain in the butt, honestly. This is one of the sort of negatives of 3D printing hollow. Now, one thing you should never do when printing hollow is having a single hole. You're like, wait, but there's a single hole there on those models. That's right. These were pre-supported models by Loot Studios, and usually I trust Loot Studios wholeheartedly, and I don't really check for this. But this serves as a good example that I can sort of share with you all of why you should always, especially with hollow models, double check the work of the printing studio. And at the end of the stream here, once I'm done cleaning these nasty little bastards up, I will show you what I would do differently if I were printing these again. Alright, so I've gone and I've cleaned this up many times. I think I've gotten the majority of it. Each time I go through with my little light pen here and I make sure to you know, try to cure any of this uncured resin that's on the outside. It's gonna end up looking pretty shiny. But thankfully this is the bottom of the model, so you get a little shininess, a little icky resin down here. It's fine as long as you cure it before priming. That's what's important. Now, if you do not properly, so okay, a couple of things. So the reason why you want 2 holes, hey Dragon Craze, how's it going? So the reason why you want 2 holes, by the way, I said you never want to print hollow minis without 2 holes, is because when you're going to wash the miniatures out, the water won't flow in and out correctly without 2 holes. There's a physics explanation for that, but just trust me, you want 2 holes. They don't have to be this big. I actually sort of opened this hole up further because there was only one. Oh, okay. I can definitely turn down my voice, thank you. Or turn down music. There we go. How's that? Is that better? Okay. Anyways, so if you have 2 holes and they don't have to be as big, they could be 2 smaller ones. It'll just allow the resin to go in and out much better. Oh, it's okay, Dragon Craze. I'm sure we all are after listening to lots of loud music and whatnot. Anyways, so I think these are cleaned up enough. There are some support nubs I'd like to clean up on these, and so we're going to do that now, and then we can get them on the bases. And as soon as I'm done cleaning them up and getting on the bases, I'll show off what I was talking about as far as like double checking the work whenever you're printing something hollow, and what you can do to fix it, even if it's a pre-supported hollow model like this one from Loot Studios. So, Dragon Craze, what about your character? Can I help you workshop it at all, or bounce off ideas off me, that kind of thing? break any toes off. Thankfully, these are pretty hardy toes. College of Dance Bard. The multi-class paladin or sorcerer. Why does everybody want to up their unarmed strikes? It seems to be a big craze going around. What does College of Dance do for you? Sorry, I'm not that familiar with that spec. Why wouldn't you go Monk if you just want to do unarmed strikes? I guess that's my first question. What is it about Monk that doesn't do it for you? Or do you want to be more like a One Punch Man kind of fantasy, which is why you're thinking, you know, paladins, that way you can smite with your punches. Is that what you're going for? So, I mean, if you're going for really big single hits, then yeah, I would say Paladin would be more the way to go, so you can pump a smite into it. But also, you know, don't discount Monk as a, you know, just to get lots of punches. But again, if you're going for more single punches, then I guess that would be more of a paladin for smite. I don't know what sorcerer would do for you for upping your unarmed strike damage. What was your thought there? Froggy on base. Major is with Bard, the majority of the rest of the players and I have decided that we're going to be a boy band group. A bunch of bards multi-classed into something else. Okay. Interesting. Are you gonna all have hilarious nicknames that coincide with your Subclass of choice. Justin Timberlake. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. It'd be funny if, like, when you did Vicious Mockery or stuff like that, you said, like, lines from songs like, "Oh, cry me a river." Yeah, that's pretty funny, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think you've got it figured out, though. I mean, again, not that familiar with College of Dance. I have a lot of people in my group actually do like rolling bards. I almost always have a bard in my party, but you know, College of Lore is pretty popular in my group. I do have somebody who's playing the College of Eloquence, which is more of like the debate club bard. She just wants to be like ultra persuasive and have her inspiring words be really good. It's really more of a support bard. So looking forward to that character in this campaign. Because even though Saltmarsh is going to be very fight heavy, fighting lots of monster stuff, there is a lot of politics also in it. So it's really good to have. They don't know that, but you know, just looking at the campaign, I see how it's very advantageous to have somebody who's a good talker, particularly politically speaking. So there's many factions that are, you have to like negotiate relations between and stuff like that in a campaign. Alright. Whoa! Lots of text. Give me a second, let me catch up. College of the Dance Bard, so I can be a choreographer for the group. And two, it's a good, also COD, SBC, Jackson Charisma, Bardic Inspiration die for unarmed and can move 5 feet or have my way away from the tree without provoking opportunity attacks. Then 6th level, I negate damage from a dex save if I pass. Oh, cool! Just like a rogue. You take no damage. Oh wow! Oh, that's cool. That sounds really strong. Shit. Yeah, I know what capoeira is. Yeah. Oh, that would be cool. I mean, it kind of stylistically makes sense. Also, it makes sense that, you know, if their fighting style is more capoeira, that they'd be delivering, well, I don't know, capoeira sometimes, you know, it's about the momentum of the strike, because you're sort of like dancing, building up momentum, and then usually there's really big strikes, but you can also get like lots of little strikes. I mean, I think the way it's portrayed a lot of times in video games is, you know, lots of little strikes with capoeira, but in reality, like if you're talking about like real life, capoeira has an actual like fighting style. It's really about like distracting your opponent and then having a single really big strike. So I think that that actually fits well with your thought about, you know, the paladin combined with the art of the dance. Because it's not about a bunch of flashy punches, which is, of course, when I think unarmed strike, I immediately go to Bard. Monk. But that's not Monkey. Monks are lots of little hits. So yeah, I think if your goal was more of a capoeira type fighting style, then definitely see how the Paladin Bard mix would work really well. Also, if you have higher AC and there's times where it's advantageous to, you can even go defensive, right? Use what is it called? All-out defense, or I might be mixing that with Pathfinder. But there's sort of the maybe it's a dodge action, which conveys disadvantage to hitting you. So you're like focusing your turn on doing sort of the capoeira sort of movements to sort of distract your opponent, and you know. Focusing on being more tanky in that regard. Okay. Why would the sorcerer be the bad boy of the group? Sorcerers aren't inherently bad. Oh, Shadow Sorcerer. Okay. That's right. You did say that. Alrighty. Let's see here. These toesies. I'll be really happy if I get through all these frogs without losing any toes. Now, one thing I will do, because again, these guys had a bit of a problem with the hole there, I'll probably let them sit for a little while before doing a final, before priming them. And I'll probably, you know, just in case there's any more little bit of resin that sort of leaks out, I'll just sort of shoot my light pen in there or run it through the curing station just to really make sure that if there's any last little bit that oozes out, I get that. And again, this shouldn't be a problem if it properly had two holes during the cleaning process. But c'est la vie. Again, I will show at the end here. I'll flip back over the computer and show how to fix that problem. When you print three printed hollowed miniatures. These guys are going to be fun to paint, I'll tell you that. Little chunky boys. Damn tablet, why do you keep pausing on me? Alright. Almost done. Since one player chose NSYNC, I think I need to make my character aesthetic. Yeah. After a member of the band of the Backstreet Boys. Oh yeah? Which one? Somebody's got to choose a Boys to Men character as well. Just saying. Got to convince one of your group members to be Boys to Men inspired. Awesome. There we go. Mini's all cleaned up. 6 frogs, 1 gator. Pretty happy with that. It'll go nicely with all the giant lizards that I printed yesterday and got based. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. All right, I'll put these back away and jump over to the computer. I'm just going to push these aside here. Okay. All right. PC. Alright, let's open our lychee. So in lychee, there we go. We open our scene here. Actually, let's just replace these again. Artists, Loot Studios. This is from Gathering the Festering Swamp, Giant Toad. Okay. Probably easier to demonstrate with just a single toad. So one of the things you can there we go. That's what I want. Yeah, object. So here we go. This shows you how it's going to print, and here you can see just by sort of simulating the print. Hey, wait a second. There's just this one hole, which is very problematic. So what we could do is we can go back here to the prepare stage, and we could still simulate like this layer right here. And because we know the belly is a pretty safe area that nobody's going to see, we can put another hole like right here. So we go here to hollow. Yeah, there we go. And this is a nice big fat, probably a little bit too big, go 3mm. Yeah, it's about equivalent size. And we just pick a spot and boom. And what this is going to do is it's going to make a hole in that spot. I know it doesn't look like a hole, but trust me, when it actually goes to slice, there will be another hole there. You also want to make sure that it's going all the way through. It looks like it's going all the way through, but it's also hitting supports. So it's actually something I need to fix. Hold up. This wouldn't be a big problem. If you were supporting it yourself. But also, one thing I'm noticing is the hole that we made is right where there's a support, which is pretty shitty. So we need to sort of like aim again Looks like we're hitting where there's another support. Worst case scenario, if you have a model that's just you're having a hard time finding. Oh, we can do it from the underside too. If you're finding a hard place to poke that hole, because there's lots of supports on the underside or whatever, like this, you could always grab the unsupported version of the model, and when the slicer does the auto supports, it will, if you poke your hole first, it will take that in consideration when it's placing supports. But I think that's good right there. That's a good spot. Now, looking at it from the top, it's not thick enough, so we need to go here, up our penetration to 3 millimeters. And since it's from the other side, who cares if it goes up higher? There you go. So now, if I had printed this with these two holes, the water, the fluid, the cleaning fluid would be able to go in and out through the hole and not be a problem. Another thing you want to look out for when checking on pre-hollowed models is whenever you got like limbs and stuff, make sure that there's a big enough area that fluid is going to be able to travel into those limbs. But yeah, that's what I do to fix that model in the future. It's unfortunate, but you know, even when you do make a mistake like that, just make sure to clean it out really well, like I did. Put it on a shop towel or whatever, and let it sort of ooze out over the course of a few days or whatever. Just to make sure that all the resin gets out before priming. With that, thanks Dragon Craze for hanging out, and thank you for following. Appreciate it, helps me out, and you get notifications when I'm streaming again. Alright folks, I think that's it for today. I'm going to get all of these minis primed up that I've been sort of cleaning over the last couple of days. Next week, I'm going to be streaming at least 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at least 4 hours a day. I'll probably even try to pull a full 8 hours of painting on all 4 of those days, or 5 of those days. I might break up my Monday stream in 2 parts, because I do have to drop off my girlfriend at the airport in the middle of the day. But yeah, look forward to a lot of painting next week. My group meets tomorrow for their session 0 for this campaign that I've been prepping for, and then the following week we will be starting. So I have a lot of minis to get painted for the first initial encounters of the campaign. I'm sure I'll probably overpaint what's necessary, but I'd rather do that than not have enough painted. But until next time, thanks for watching, and may all of your rolls be natural 20s. See ya.